Hey everyone, welcome. It is Friday, February 10th. We had a scheduling issue with PhantomFi, but we'll be bringing them in next week to talk with you guys. Just a little bit about this chat. I'm dealing with a ton of pain in my back and legs, so if I maybe have to go midway, I apologize. I'm going to try to get through all of this information right now, but I'll do my best and try to power through. So let me share my screen so you guys can see what we're looking at. If not, you're just looking at my face. Let's go live. All right. Let's get it. All right. Yesterday, the Kraken team came to a decision. They met in the middle, I guess what you call this, but Kraken has to pay $30 million and their earn program, basically staking. Basically, the SCC said that those are securities. And that's why I think partly the market did a dump. But it says the Securities and Exchange Commission today charged Payward Ventures, Inc. and Payward Trading Limited, both commonly known as Kraken, with failing to register the offer of the sale of their crypto assets staking as a service program, whereby investors transfer crypto assets to Kraken and staking in exchange for advertised annual investment returns. So guys, this really is, if you don't see it, it's an attack on all of crypto, right? Because a lot of blockchains or DLTs are proof of stake, and how more people stake, the more secure the network becomes. And I feel that the SEC wants to go by enforcement, regulation by enforcement, without giving proper guidance and rules. And it looks like they're trying to make it so retail investors, that's me and you, cannot participate in this. You have to be an institution or part of an institution. Gary Gensler is not here for the people. He's here for the banks. All right. And it's really a disgrace last year in 2022, how many projects fell through or with fraud. And they were actually meeting with these people. The Securities and Exchange Commission, not all bad. Hester Pierce has come out and said she doesn't like the way that they're going about in business, but I wouldn't be surprised if sooner or later we get an investigation into Gary Gensler and all the stuff that he's doing. I really thought this guy was going to be good for crypto, but I was very wrong, and I will admit that.
Let me ask you, talking about clarity, and this is maybe a philosophical, broader policy perspective. I think that there is a common view that your office is using all available means effectively to keep crypto out of the mainstream financial system through enforcement, accounting rules, inspections. Clearly, there's not real guidance yet on custody. And this may very well be a reasonable policy choice, if that's the choice. The question is, if that's the choice, why not just say it publicly?
We're using all...
Watch him. He asked him a very direct question there. Why don't you give guidance publicly? And Gary Gensler just dances around the question.
All available tools. We're talking directly to market participants. We take the meetings. We say, this is how you comply. There's a handful of tokens that have actually registered. The intermediaries, the store.
So check this out, guys. He said there's a handful of projects that come in and registered, right? There's 20,000 cryptos. Not all of them are utility and not all of them are going to be around for very much longer, but still there's 20,000 and only a handful have come in to do this. So you can really see that maybe there's 0.005% of the entire space has come and tried to do this, but a handful is 5 or 4. That's a handful, all right?
If you wish, the casinos that people are investing in and investing at need to properly comply and disentangle these bundled products. The business model that they've set up is rife with conflicts. And so we've been very candid with them. I've done it in multiple speeches since I came to the agency. We'll continue to engage. We're technology neutral. But if this field has any chance of survival and success, it's time-tested rules and laws to protect the investing public. Disclosure, full, fair, and truthful disclosure.
Okay, so he's talking about disclosure here, guys. I think this is funny because Ripple puts out a quarterly report of basically all of what's going on with them, right? What they're spending money on, what they're doing. They are trying to be over compliant, right? And you have him saying basically, hey, we won't go after the good guys. Projects need to comply, but you have the #1 project complying and they're still talking about this. There's a very famous saying, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And with Gary Gensler, I really just dislike this man, and I hope they do an investigation, and I hope he's replaced with somebody more intelligent. He's a very smart guy, but when you have the UK changing laws right now to be the world's biggest crypto hub, and you have America, which is the laughingstock in digital assets, and it's very sad, and this bothers me a lot. I don't want to keep drilling on this, but it pains me to watch this happen to good actors in the space. They're just being pirated by this bald gentleman.
address conflicts and disaggregate these bundled businesses, and don't have your hand in the customer's pocket using their funds for your own platforms.
But in terms of the larger industry and whether you even seem to suggest the larger industry may or may not survive, one of the pieces of that survival to some degree, I think, has been this idea that one day there may be something like a Bitcoin ETF or something else. Grayscale is appealing the SEC's Bitcoin ETF decision, which is effectively to say it can't happen. Is there any path at which you think either that specific ETF or something like it could?
The paths, I'm not going to speak about one, but let me generally say, Andrew, the path forward is that whether it's large companies that you follow every day, the Apples and the other tech companies or the automobile companies, manufacturing companies know how to register their offerings. The exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ and so forth know how to be compliant and come into registration. The big broker dealers and the small, thousands of broker dealers, the mutual funds. I dare go on. We have tens of thousands of registrants that properly, in good faith, comply. They register, they make the proper disclosures. It's time for this group to do. The runway is getting awfully, and we're here to try to protect the investing public.
He's not here to protect the investing public. It's really a joke. But anyways, SCC commissioner says her colleagues performed a shorthand analysis of XRP. This is what we're dealing with, guys. These guys are... Hester Pierce admitted that her colleagues focused on XRP instead of the conditions surrounding the token sales. In a recent tweet, XRP pro attorney John Deaton knocked the SCC for arguing that XRP represents both the common enterprise and the expectation of profit prongs of the Howey test. Deaton expressed surprise that the SCC could reach such a conclusion despite not evaluating each transaction individually. The SCC doesn't go transaction by transaction and argues that XRP embodies and represents both the common enterprise and expectation of profits prongs of the Howey. Damn, did I just read that twice, guys? No, I didn't. That was the same thing. Okay, cool. The founder of the crypto law backed his comments by saying that even the SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, sometimes called Crypto Mom, admitted that her colleagues made a wrong call in evaluating XRP as a security. You have somebody inside of the SEC that knows this stuff telling you that basically it's not a security and they did shit work. This is what we're dealing with in America. And if you're in another country, just be happy you're not dealing with this, okay? Check this out. So it sounds like regulations are inbound, which brings on the regulated CBDC. Kramer called to buy, Barry said to sell. Looks like we're going down in the rise of CBDC, meaning global stablecoins will reign. And we talked about this in previous chats, right? The first thing any country needs to do is set up stablecoin regulation. That is what they're going to use to move value with the central banks, right? So that's the first thing that they need to get done. Once you see stablecoin regulation go in your country, you know you're on the right path, okay?
In every zip code, access the capital and resources they need to start a small business. From selling products on an e-commerce marketplace to helping them make payments, reach customers, manage payroll, and track costs more efficiently. Millions of small businesses are powered by fintech, from your local florist to your neighborhood restaurant. Financial technology helps college students purchase books or supplies for the next semester in a way that better fits their budget. It allows families to send money overseas to loved ones more quickly, safely, and cheaply, and helps all of us get our dinner delivered and have the driver paid as well in real time. These financial digital tools help people keep their money while also saving them time. According to a recent survey by the Harris Poll, 8 in 10 Americans used fintech to manage their money in 2022.
8 out of 10 Americans use fintech with, what did she say? She didn't say regulate with the money, but she said 8 out of 10. Hold on, let me just back this up.
Americans used fintech to manage their money in 2022.
Okay. That's a lot.
And 93% said they benefited from it.
Damn.
Consumers used to primarily conduct their financial business in a bank branch. Today, they expect to manage their finances on their mobile phone or via the internet. Therefore, it is critical that the statutory and regulatory framework that apply to financial services keep pace and modernize accordingly. FTA and its members believe that consumers...
So she was talking about changing laws in accordance to adopt cryptocurrency digital assets as legal tender, right? They have to make those changes.
Choice, trust, and protection are the cornerstones of financial services and support efforts to modernize financial data privacy expectations and create a clear, consistent, and uniform federal privacy standard that preempts the patchwork of state privacy laws while satisfying consumer needs and expectations, safeguarding consumer data, and supporting broader societal objectives and other legal requirements. In particular, modernizing federal privacy laws like GLBA will help ensure a level playing field for all financial services participants, enhance consumer rights, and ensure that privacy and security standards fit the digital age. We appreciate Chairman McHenry.
So that's the conversation going on. Penny Lee, she's talking to, I think it's the Digital Asset Committee, where that came from. I really hope these guys and women put something together. Look at the CFTC head, right? CFTC meeting with the head of the Bank of International Settlements. Like, she understands that mainly commodities, right? And she believes that XRP is a commodity, right? I just thought, on one hand, you have somebody going out and meeting the big players in fintech, and you have somebody who is trying to regulate it out of existence. So it's crazy that there's two different regulators going. One we really like, the CFTC, and one we really don't like. Fed Governor Christopher Waller warns that interest rates could go higher than expectations. Okay, let's check this out, guys. Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said on Wednesday, talked tough on inflation, warning that the fight is not over and it could result in higher interest rates than markets are anticipating. Speaking to an agribusiness conference in Arkansas, Waller said that January jobs report showing non-farm payroll growth of 517,000 jobs indicated that the employment market is robust and can fuel consumer spending that would maintain upward pressure. And he goes on to talk about the comments come a week after the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee approved a 0.25 percentage point increase that took the benchmark borrowing rate and target of 4.5% and 4.7 to 4.7%, the highest since October 2007, guys. And understand this, these jobs, these 517,000 jobs, these are not high-paying jobs. These are probably people that have to get a second job because they got a bunch of stimulus, they went out and bought a car or something that was out of their budget, and they need to make money to make those payments, right? And I'll link all these links for you guys later, and you can finish that article if you want, but I'll do that later. And this is a meeting. This had a clip last week that I didn't play. It was mainly about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but this one's a little bit different. It says, Fam Iota Nasser from OECD on DeFi and CeFi, centralized finance. I see them working together to satisfy benefits and incentives for both sides. D5 can grow in get institutional investors. C5 can benefit from the cost efficiencies. So let's listen to this.
Across jurisdiction. Indeed. But Iota, let's go to you now. And let me ask the same question that I asked Thomas, which is the interaction between a centralized, if you like, overlay, governance overlay, and the DeFi itself. But taken more broadly, so what do you see as the key issue, as being the key issues in the points of contact between DeFi and DeFi?
That's a very broad question. So if we take a step back and we look at the way DeFi is being developed and is evolving, and we look at its interaction with the traditional financial system, the way I see this evolving is through more of a symbiotic relationship, where we will have both kind of systems working together to actually satisfy benefits and incentives from both sides. And what I mean by that is that we have a lot of discussion around whether DeFi is actually going to replace our conventional systems. I don't think this is the case. I see this symbiotic relationship being beneficial for both DeFi and the conventional system. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So for the DeFi system, we know that for the DeFi market to actually grow in a meaningful and substantial way, we need to get institutional and professional investors into this space. And this has to be done in a compliant manner. And indeed, in recent work of the OECD Committee on Financial Markets, we do see evidence of this trend of institutionalization of crypto and of institutional investors wishing to become part of the decentralized finance space. Now, this is going to be beneficial for DeFi because it will allow it to grow to a meaningful scale. And at the same time, Hyun, you showed the very high correlations between the coins that are actually today part of the DeFi system. One of the critical parts of this kind of symbiosis would be the use of tokenized regulated assets in DeFi protocols. And this would, in my personal view, allow for this market to actually develop in a substantial manner and in a compliant manner as well, allowing for this institutional investor participation. From the conventional standpoint of the traditional financial institution standpoint, this kind of slow integration of DeFi as part of the operations of a financial institution, either in the way that Signum does it from scratch or by integrating DeFi as part of a very traditional infrastructure, will allow the conventional system to enjoy the benefits of decentralization when it comes to cost efficiencies, when it comes to automation and productivity gains, to enjoy atomic settlement. But at the same time, the gradual integration will allow it to test the limits. And we've talked about limits with what Ivan was suggesting previously. So this is the way I see this kind of natural evolution and bridging the two systems in a gradual manner.
All right, that was a good clip. Let's keep moving. BNY Mellon updated ISO schedule. Let's check this out, guys. So BNY Mellon, which is one of the biggest banks in the world, ISO 200 Market Infrastructure Initiative's latest developments. And then we get stars, guys. Look at this. This is awesome. So we have Swift right here. We got Chaps right there. We got, what does that say? Chats, HK right there. Let me zoom out a bit. T2, this is the European. We talked about this last week. Chips, Fedwire. Actually, Fedwire is supposed to go live a little sooner, so this might be out of date. But, it's FedNow. Excuse me, not Fedwire. So FedNow is going to be this, and then Fedwire is going to be this. Okay, a lot of stuff happening. BNY Mellon jumping on the game, right? It says startup chips, started 2. Let's see, what is it? What is the date on? All right, who is that? Let me go ahead and mute somebody. I'm going to mute you, Crawler. Sorry, bro. All right, let's keep it going. Good to see everybody. Oh, here, it's right here. My bad. If you just joined, guys, I'm in a lot of pain today, so if I fuck up a bit, just understand that, okay? So March, right? March, November, Fedwire, Chaps. So it looks like it's going to go live when all of this stuff goes live, guys. Oh, here you go. China, Japan, Switzerland, Brunei, Bangladesh, India, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand. Live. Planned Q1 2023, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Guys, all of these payment systems are going live this year. That is what this is telling you. Holy shit. We were talking about all the countries in the Eurozone, right? That's a ton of countries, plus Canada, plus Australia, plus New Zealand, plus Russia, it's all happening in 2023, guys. It's all happening. This is more about ISO. It's really important to understand this, right? We have new people that come in that might not know this information. So if this is something that's repetitive to you, you've been in too many of my chats, but I love you for that. But let's just get back to the information. So this was in, I think this is in Dutch. It could be in something else, but I think it's in Dutch, and it was translated over here. All right, so this says a target 2 consolidation, is called Big Bang, and the other hand takes place in familiar space with international standards, infrastructures, interfaces, and processes. Over the past 15 years, Target 2 for RTGS payments in Euro, the Target 2 Securities T2S system for security settlement, and the Target Instant Payment Settlement operated by the European Central Bank have coexist at the EU level, with all three being almost autonomous. Target 2 becomes Target, so Target 2 is going away. They're replacing Target 2 with now Target. They could have had a cooler name, right? I don't know, but Target 2 services, in addition to the introduction of ISO 20022, I always fuck this word up. Consolidation brings it further significant changes. For example, all three Target services, real-time gross settlement, T2 values, so this is securities, and TIPS, Target Instant Payment Settlement, have common components such as a matter of data directly or central liquidity management. We talked all about this last week's chat. Wait, was that last week or that was Tuesday? Oh my God, these days. All right, from the 20th, however, in March 2023, the entire exchange of messages between and within all three platforms will be based exclusively on ISO 2002 standards. This allows a financial institution to control its service-related activities into central bank money via a single interest thing. And I'll leave all these links for you guys when I do it. Excuse me, let me refresh and see if this comes up. All right, sick. Thank you so much. Twitter. So this is saying record-breaking cryptocurrency adoption leads to the IRS. So record-breaking crypto adoption, right? These are me and you. These are middle-class people getting into crypto. Let's read a little bit of this and then we'll move on. More projects than ever before excuse me, sorry. No advertisement, go away. All right, let's get back in this. More projects than ever before across the entertainment industry landscape utilize cryptocurrency to develop unique infrastructures to fund productions and create new revenue streams with varying results. This distracts the shit out of me. Okay, I just gotta leave it. With some companies making a profit through these methods, the Internal Revenue Service has released first of its kind reporting requirements for those who have dealt in crypto over the last tax year. For the reporting period, the terminology for reporting cryptocurrency on income tax forms has been also revamped, with its previously being known as virtual currencies. It is now referred to digital assets, right? So everything's going to be called digital assets here in the future, guys. On 1040 income tax forms, I'm not going to go. If you're an American, I'll link this in all my stuff and we can go for it. Let's just keep it going. This says the SCC Sunshine Act notice closed meeting is changed from open meeting to closed meeting on the 15th and 16th. They're having a meeting that was supposed to be public and now they're closing it down so the public can't see. What are they going to be talking about? Let's see. Place. Here's the time and date. Status. The meeting at 10 a.m. The commission will consider whether to adopt rules and rule amendments under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 to shorten the standard settlement cycle for most securities transactions. Okay, so check this out. I got this. I'm gonna explain this to you. So when they talk about shortening securities transactions, so normally when you sell stock and everything, you have a buyer, blah, 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 you have to wait, right? Because they use the SWIFT system, right? And so if they're going to be using DLT and crypto to move that money like the DTCC is, they need to update the laws to make it so they can actually do that. Interesting. I find that interesting. The commission will also consider whether to adopt rule amendments under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940 to require an investment advisor to maintain certain related records. The commission will consider whether to propose to amend and redesignate Rule 206(4)(2) under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940. So it looks like they're trying to update some stuff here, but it's weird that they closed the meeting. Interesting. All right, let's keep it going. This is from King Valex. It says they have started testing CBDC since 2017. Then they sit there and make you believe that you are just starting experiments on CBDCs. That's true, guys. They've been working on this for a long time. It says BIS Innovation Hub consolidates expansion, announces priorities for 2023. In 2023, the BIS Innovation Hub will increase its focus on improving payment systems and experimenting with central bank digital currencies on shaping the future of financial regulation. So when you hear Gary Gensler talk, crypto might not have a future. And then you have bank that deals with all of the central banks basically pushing mass adoption for CBDCs. Okay. On one hand, they're telling you that it's garbage. It's going to go to zero. On the other hand, if you know where to, you know what's about to happen, guys, right? You understand that all of these payment systems are going to change. They're going to go to ISO messaging. They have 3 years to do this. Obviously, the biggest banks are going to go first, right? Because you don't want your competitor. If Wells Fargo is using the technology and Chase Bank isn't, maybe a lot of people go over to Wells Fargo and close their Chase accounts. I know I probably would. Okay, China says it will set up yen clearing arrangements in Brazil. China's central bank has signed a memorandum on understanding on setting up yuan clearing arrangements in Brazil, it said on Tuesday, in a move to help boost the currency's global clout. The establishment of such arrangements of the renminbi, the RMB, or the yuan would be beneficial to cross-border transactions and further promote bilateral trade investment facilitation, the People's Bank of China said on Tuesday. China in the recent months has signed similar yuan clearing deals with Pakistan and Kazakhstan and Laos. The two-way trade between China and Brazil reached $172 billion in 2022. So it's interesting, right? They're finding different payment rails. Okay, this is about when Bill Hinman emails Bad Garland House, fuck the SCC, Ripple, wins. Let's just listen.
Public record? No, it was an exhibit that's public record.
Can we show this? Or no?
Oh, yes, you can show it.
So
absolutely.
So I don't know if people can see this, but
this is pages of that.
This is an entire page of every single word on the page, redacted, and there's pages of it.
This is your transparent Securities Exchange Commission.
Holy moly.
That just shows you right there, right? They're trying to hide those emails, guys. Whoever leaks the Hinman emails, I will consider that person a saint. Sainthood is given. I just wanted to show you guys this. This is an old photo, I think from like 2015, or maybe it was a little bit earlier than that, but I don't know the exact date, but check this out. Director of Monetary Markets at the IMF. Bam! Chairman of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. Bam! And then you have Chief Executive of Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Bam! And then you have BG, right? Brad Garlinghouse, right there. So really comes down to who is having these meetings, right? You can clearly see that I don't see anybody from any other project sitting down at a table like this. If you've seen this, please post it or talk to me about it. But that's why we talk about this so much, guys, because I really do think it's not Bitcoin, it's not Ethereum, it's XRP. ISO 20022 underlines every fast payment system in the world. Okay, let's take a look, girl. What's up with this? Open APIs. are the cornerstone of open banking. Although Australia's open banking regime coming into effect in July 2020, consumers can instruct their bank to share their personal financial data to authorized third parties. These third parties can then overlay new services designed to enhance customer experiences. In the financial sector, to ISO 2, I'm just going to call this ISO 2, is the shared payments messaging language that banks and third parties will use to share data connected through value-adding APIs. And then we talk about ISO 2 underlies every fast payment system in the world, with around 50 to 60 countries already using the standardized format. This is telling you that basically the world is ready to go. That's what this is telling you, my friends. Let's read a little bit more. Payments platform NPP, launched in February 2018, uses ISO 20022 from March 2023. Cross-border payments will start to migrate to ISO, with all the payments to be made and received using ISO by November 2025. We know that's the end date. Okay. Is there anything in here? Yes, there is. APIs can link a bank's vast amounts of data on business, financial transactions, and account balances with the organization's enterprise resource planning, or ERP, platform. This is compatible to some of the many apps that we all use on our phones that call data into one place, right? So this is all about getting data into one place and securely, right? This is talking about adoption of central banks. Central banks to have discussed the integration of Ripple and XRP include France, Indonesia, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Brazil, England, and many more, right? Together with Ripple, a currency agnostic, right? I love this type of stuff, guys. I love this type of stuff. Let's keep this moving though. There's so much stuff happening with ISO, guys. It's not even funny. Digital wallets plus QR codes are the most popular digital payment methods. Let's see what this is, right? Apple Wallet. And then it says super efficient, innovative cross-border payments use cases, QR code acceptance, atomic liquidity bridges, and so on. It's going to be interesting to see actually how this all works when it rolls out. The Reserve Bank of India is encouraging fintech companies to create innovative solutions for central bank digital currencies that can be accessible to citizens without internet access. What? So the reason this is, right, most of you, if you're listening to this, you have internet access. So you're in a place, you're in a country that allows you to use that by internet, blah, blah, blah. But there are places in Africa, in India, in Asia that are rural, and they don't have internet access. So they're trying to solve that issue for the public, right? And this is February 7th of this year. Let's check this out. The central bank digital currency will provide numerous opportunities for India's fintech community to help the government and the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, in addressing technology challenges such as enabling CBDC transactions offline, preventing duplication of digital currencies, and preventing double payments, a senior RBI official said. This comes just a week after the economic survey emphasized the benefits of in expanding digital finance sectors. RBI will also organize sandboxes and hackathons to let fintech innovators present their solutions. Speaking at the Bharat Fintech Summit in 2023, Nuj Ranjan, General Manager Fintech Department at the RBI, said there is a lot of opportunity for the fintechs here, right? All of these countries want the best to come, right? And so that's what they're working on here, guys. We'll keep you updated when I know more about this. And this is failure to adopt ISO, negative long-term impacts, right? We understand that. Even without a clear business case, the group recommended transitioning to ISO because failure to adopt international standards could have negative long-run impacts on business, banks, and even the US dollar. True. More stuff, Bill. This is talking about ISO adoption. It's talking about build interoperable APIs based on common suitable standards such as 20022 will prevent further fragmentation in many firms deliver on-demand data to their customers and increase interoperability and reduce overall investments in the industry. Distributed ledger technology, DLT, supporting asset tokenization is another area where ISO can be used to devise new interactions and support interoperability between financial institutions. The need for a common data sharing standard for interoperability has never been greater. True. Early adoption of ISO enables securities firms to lay a foundation for future market innovations so that they can be ready to capitalize on them sooner and more fully. I love it. All right, follow this, right, guys? Please follow ISO. This person does so much hard work. I just wanted to give them a little shout out here because they are working, or whoever this person is, just does great work. I really appreciate them. All right, swift adoption of ISO will promote APIs that support tokenization of crypto assets for cross-border payments. I don't know if I need to read this to you guys. You guys all understand it's more of the same that we've been talking about lately.
Banks which are smaller, they will make...
Okay. Systems for ISO are ready in place, and once it goes live, there won't be a resilience on correspondent banking. Oh, sorry, a reliance. Sorry, I'm exhausted.
House translation and processing services. So some financial institutions have got their systems in place. They have got some of the supporting work or the basic building work that is required, and that's there in place. So they are in a good position to start using these services and start testing them as well. But some of the other banks, which are smaller, they will migrate only when they are ready. And until then, they will use certain inflow translation or local translation services. Again, important links, everything will be there in the description. Go ahead, check it out, spend some time. And then what happens is we have got another step here, which is about the sending of these MX messages. So all the banks can start sending the MX messages independent of their correspondent preferred channel. So there is no dependency anymore. If they want, they can start sending the MX.
Also, guys, I wanted to bring up Zsodes has been on fire. I don't know if you saw, but he just had a 50x on an NFT thing that he shared in the community in his channel. Lots of crazy stuff going on there. All right, what is this? This is from Anderson, X Anderson, really good person to follow. Exploring multilateral platforms for cross-border payments, January 2023. BIS Innovation Hub, IMF, World Bank Group, CPMI, and joint paper mentions settlement with crypto as example. How many platforms offer settlement, right? World Bank, guys, World Bank. This brings me back to the where Brad Garlinghouse is sitting on stage with the head legal guy from the IMF, and he's like, hey, where you guys hold digital assets in the future? And the guy's like, I can't answer that. All right, tech giant Dell joins Hedera, distributed ledger platform governing council. They join a bunch of other Fortune 500 companies. That is great to see. So he said the paper also discussed SMSF Africa, which recently partnered with Ripple to use ODL, right? Every state in Africa is going to be able to use ODL, guys. Every state. All right. And Africa is working on their own common currency too, guys. If you haven't seen that news, they're working to do that. There's so many, I think there's like 50 plus different states in Africa. And so it's a lot of things to get done there. But I really do think that Africa is one of those countries that is ahead in fintech. And then HBAR Foundation, more about Pangolin Dex is our latest HBAR blog. So they just launched this new Dex. So that's something pretty good. Today, we're excited to announce that Pangolin Exchange, a multi-chain decentralized exchange, DEX, has launched on the Hedera network. Pangolin launched on Avalanche in 2021 with 100% community-driven project. Since then, Pangolin has amassed over 16 billion in total trading volume, with 3,000 token pairs listed and over 9 million swaps, making Avalanche one of the most popular DEXs. All right, good to see. Good to see. Let's keep it rolling. The FedNow service. What to expect? First version. Check this out. I'm so tired. Is something to look here? Okay, under development by the Federal Reserve, FedNow is the U.S. instant payment service designed to provide a fast, safe, and efficient way for individuals and businesses to conduct real-time financial transactions. Guys, real-time financial transactions, they have to be using some type of DLT, right? What you can't use, Swift doesn't have real-time. Inspired by the Brazilian PIX in our previous article, 5 lessons from Brazil for implementing FedNow, I mentioned some participations and technology companies may have. I will now provide more detailed information on key resources, stakeholders, and technical information on the service. It goes on to say, unlike other instant payment methods such as PayPal, FedNow is being developed and operated by the Federal Reserve rather than a private company, right? You have the Fed Reserve starting to use this. This means that they will be supervised directly by the institution and will be subject to the same regulations and supervision as other payment systems that are operated by it. And guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about this, right? Because I was just thinking about this and I don't want it to leave my head. I believe that if you're going to be a centralized exchange, like your Krakens, like your Binance US, I believe they should get a banking license, and they should have to abide by all of the rules that banks do, right? It would take a lot of work, but I do think that's what's going to happen in the future, right? I think the centralized exchanges really need to come and register, but they really need to come, the rules need to be laid out, and it's frustrating because they're not. And if banks really are going to start getting into this full tilt, they need to have proper rules of the road. Anyways, real-time payments. The service will allow individuals and businesses to make and receive real-time payments, which means that the funds will be transferred immediately and the recipients will be able to access them right away. Interbank transfers, financial institutions will be able to use FedNow to make interbank transfers, which means that they will be able to transfer funds between different banks in real time, right? That's what this is all about. Right here, transfer funds between banks in real time. That's what this is. This is going to be a huge problem solver. Multi-channel access. Financial institutions, businesses, and individuals will be able to access the service through multiple channels such as online banking portals, right? You have your phone app, right? You have your banking app to check how much money is in my account, right? So they're going to be able to connect through all of this, right? So if it's like sending a Zelle payment, but you're going to be using some type of system that the Fed now is working with. They're working with Volante, right? Volante uses Ripple. If it's real time, I would think that this is going to be using XRP, but I don't know that for sure. So don't hold me to it. Authentication and security. FedNow will include a robust authentication and security features to protect against fraud and unauthorized access. This will include multi-factor authentication, encryption, and digital signature to ensure authenticity of the transaction. I'll link this one once I do all the stuff if you want to get in here and read some more, but it is really interesting stuff that is happening around the space. And then so Solana has a Grizzly-thon is on. Fight the bear and launch the next big crypto project.
Web3 is having a very tough year.
I would not touch crypto in a million years.
It's just disgusting. It else is trading turds and you decide I can't be left out.
I called it decentralized.
So I love how he's talking about this, but Warren Buffett, these guys work together. This guy works for Warren Buffett. He's worked for Warren Buffett for 40 years, okay? They bought a huge share of Bank of America stock. Why did they do that? I'll show you why. Check this out. How many crypto patents does Bank of America have? I think I have this article actually somewhere in this chat. Yes, I can't spell. Thank you so much for correcting me. How many patents? Oh, they have hundreds. They have hundreds. I might have the article in the chat, but that is the reason that they decided to purchase that huge share of Bank of America stock is because of they know that's going to be the future of payments, and they wanted to make sure that they were in line with that. I pretty much lost where we were, guys. I apologize. My head is spinning right now. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Ponzi scheme.
Bot news.
I've never seen a grizzly turn and run like that before.
Anyway, it's a fun video, right? I think this is like a shot at the Cocaine Grizzly movie that's coming out where the bear just eats cocaine and he gets all crazy. All right, so this is Greg Kidd. Greg Kidd was a very early investor into Ripple, and he understands the space very well. He's talking to Tony Edward from Thinking Crypto. Tony Edward, he's a very great person to follow in the space. He's not a hype type person, but he does a lot of great interviews, and I respect this man a lot. So check this out.
Today, you're either going to have to ban it or regulate it, or maybe you can just ignore it, but you got to pick one of those three boxes. We know what the SEC is doing. The SEC is just using it as an excuse to shake down various companies. They're not pointing to this is how you do it the right way, and here's a poster child company that's doing it the right way. They're just taking a notch out of one company after another, and you know that knock is going to come on the door when you're big enough for the collection man to come by and say you're going to have to pay your fine. Like Khashoggi when he went to visit the Turkish embassy to get his marriage license and he didn't come out. I don't know anyone that's gone in to see the SEC and come out the other side with all their limbs attached.
All right, we'll keep it going. Greg Kidd is a very respectful person in the space, and I like to listen to what he has to say. This guy's called Bitfinex, right? And he loves to do good, solid research. And so check this out. This is the end result of the entire crypto industry ignoring fraud within its own industry, a complete and utter crackdown. He's talking about Tether, probably. The crackdown will be harsher than it would otherwise would be because the industry has shown complete disregard for policing itself. Yeah. So he's talking about Tether, right? Tether's been working on an audit, guys, for 5 years. Here you go. Tether 5 years ago, audits in progress. Tether 4 years ago, audits impossible. Tether 2 years ago, audit in months, not years. Tether today, no audits. That's why I tell people to stay away from Tether. You never know. You could wake up one day, if you have your 50 grand or 5 grand or 500 in USDT, it could go to zero. Russia's largest private bank, Alpha Bank, has landed a digital asset license for tokenization, right? I'm not going to read that article, but this is the way Russia's going. On the FedNow service, we went through that. I apologize. I really like this clip. This is from 2018. This is a little older, guys. But sometimes a fine wine, if it gets a couple years old, it's better. I like this clip. 2008, Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of England, Bank of Canada, and he was asked so the question he was asked is, that was the question, are you considering an ICO for a CBDC created by cryptocurrency? His response.
Highly desirable, I think.
That was actually one of the questions from Hugh Rylands from the University of Edinburgh, is, are you considering an initial coin offering for a central bank created cryptocurrency?
Wow.
To be up with the kids
would be,
or
not? Look, it's no is the short answer.
Plastic, maybe?
I think the question, I can understand why Hugh asked the question. And part of the issue is with time. If we go down the track, as we go in parallel down the track, pretty radical innovations at the core of the system, and then that the private sector takes advantage of, the kind I was talking in the speech. If we go down that track and it's reaching its natural end, and there's a bigger return from the CBDC. We want to be in a position, in a slight horse race, that if a CBDC ultimately made sense, that we would be able to implement it. And so he's right to challenge it. I don't think we would do it as an ICO,
But at the limit, if you're giving every household in Britain the capacity to go to a safe asset in times of trouble, isn't the risk that they'll go to a safe asset in times of trouble?
You're absolutely right. That is, and my colleague Ben Broadbent made this point a couple of years ago in a speech, and it's one of the issues. So giving everybody an account at the Bank of England is not a desirable way of doing it, because they will just, in stress, you would logically switch everything out of your building society or bank into the Bank of England to be absolutely
queues going into the bank are bad enough as it is.
We're working on that. We're working on that. But the other side of it, Stephanie, is that let's say we solve that issue through a token-based one. Then potentially we've disintermediated the banks relative to the very large amount of distributed money out there. Then we have a huge balance sheet and asset side of the balance sheet. Do you really want me making the first decision, or me or somebody like me, making the first decision of credit allocation in the economy? So where do we put that money? Do we just give it to the government? Cue my remarks about the Reichsbank. Do we make a decision about credit allocation? Again, not ideal. So there are lots of not just practical issues, technical issues. There are a lot of fundamental issues around.
So he's talking about fundamental issues. He's talking about if they created a CBDC, is the bank going to hold all the money? Or they're going to be able to lend it out to people like they do already? There's a lot of things that need to be solved with a CBDC. And I just thought this was a good clip. In 2018, they were talking about this. I just thought it was a solid clip. Let's keep it going. That didn't load. Sweet. Let's keep going. Okay, check this out, guys. OpenAI, right? Check it out. We're excited to welcome the following new donors. Jed McCaleb. Jed is all in on this AI train. So I just thought that was funny. Jed Caleb right there, right? He invests in some interesting stuff. So FAM, the final act policy of the Federal Reserve Act, will limit national banks and member banks from engaging in crypto-related activities. I am not going to read all this to you, but let's keep going down. It says, FAM, the board has not identified any authority permitting any national banks to hold crypto, including Bitcoin or Ether. Certain state members propose DLT and similar tech for dollar token. Board believes issuing a dollar token to an open, public, decentralized has risk. It does have risk. Guys, this is a lot of, yeah, I'm gonna link this in all my stuff. If you want to go through all this, you can. Once they start making actual changes to policy, I'll bring you those. But this is just pointing out in the current standing that banks can't hold digital assets or crypto. That's what this is saying. So this is what would need to be changed before we can really have mass adoption and your bank starts offering you 2% on your Ethereum. Deposit it with us. We'll keep it. I swear we won't use it for anything else. Wrath Economy, great person to follow. I heard, do I have to mute somebody? I was hearing somebody cough. I'm sorry. Yeah, here. Oh, it's all good. Sound searcher. I'll meet you later, my friend. Good to see everybody. Thank you for the support. Let's keep it going. Ripple user BVA pivot in a treasury management tool operating in 15 countries and 24 countries. 15 countries and 24 currencies. Man, I'm all messed up today. Ripple partner BCI in Chile and now Central America with BAC. It's a multi-currency management tool, not saying Ripple is used, but seems right. This is a bank building other technologies that is a Ripple partner, and they could connect this and start using it. So let's just read a little bit about this and we'll go move on. I've accepted. Thank you. All right, BVA has reached an agreement with BAC Credomatic that will benefit clients of both banks. Thanks to a wider geographical coverage for their cash management operations, company using BVA Pivot will be able to make payments and transfers with subsidiaries, customers, and suppliers in 6 new Central American countries from the same cash management solution, which will now integrate BAC accounts as they were BBVA's. Just 1 year after its launch, Pivot already has 1,500 clients and expects to reach a transaction volume of 680 billion in euros by the end of 2022. It's interesting, right? This does seem like it's a little bit older. Oh, actually, it's from January 9th, 2023. But more connections, more things happening with Ripple partners. That is my YouTube channel. Okay, so let's talk about the economy, right? Sensei, are we in a bull run? Why are things not pumping? What's going on? This is what's happening. All right. And this could be a very small percentage of the entire workforce, but it's still a lot of high paying jobs that they don't want to let go. So this is Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and other tech companies have laid off more than 70,000 employees last year, right? And so we talk about Zoom. Zoom is cutting jobs as well. Big tech company coming, Zoom latest trim haircut, right? So Zoom is the video conference servicing cutting 1,300 jobs, approximately 15% of its workforce. Then you have, this is a clear target emerges in tech layoffs, middle managers. So they're not laying off drivers. They're not laying off people that clean the facility. They're laying off middle managers, right? High paying jobs. So this is going to affect the economy. Dell to lay off 6,500 employees. Here you go. And this is, I really like this, right? Amazon 18,000, Alphabet 12, Microsoft 10, Salesforce 8, Dell 6,600, Philips 6,000. You got IBM here for almost 4,000, Goldman Sachs 3,200, SAP 3,000, and 3M 2,500. And these are all high paying jobs, guys. And then here is Disney, Zoom, Dell, HubSpot, PayPal, IBM, Gemini, Yankee Candle, 3M, Spotify, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Carta, Coinbase, DirecTV, Salesforce, Venmo, Goldman Sachs, Compass. Oh, that's my company. And Stitch Fix, all laying off people. Okay. Let's keep it going. No, we don't need to get into that. Tech layoffs, Yahoo to slash 20% of its workforce. Okay, so that's a lot of high-paying jobs, guys. All right, so this is the copy of tokenization of securities. This is the second video, guys. I always like to put this in the chat. This is an hour long. I'm going to have some, it's German. Oh, LAX, thank you. I appreciate that. These are really good conversations that are happening, and they're talking about tokenizing stocks and securities and different things. In your free time, if you want to watch that to better understand what's happening, please do, and I will bring some clips next week, guys. I'm slammed right now. And it says, new video suggests that Ripple XRP is working secretly with the payment giant Visa. Check this out. Where's the companies? Hold on, let me just click on this. I think he has the article here. No, he doesn't.
Visa is just following.
Okay, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. Visa has bought or partnered with 4 companies now that use Ripple technology. So is Visa partnering with Ripple secretly? Probably, guys, probably. We don't know for sure, but now it's 4 companies. The last one was called DD Money, I think it was. SCC commissioner says her colleagues performed shorthanded analysis. We saw that. See, I'm all over the place today, guys. Today, the Bank of England and the Treasury have published a consultation paper, right? So this is the whole document. Last week, we pulled those little clips, right, that they will be using Ripple or testing it or whatever they're going to be doing. Here's the whole document. I'll link this down in the description if you guys want to dig in yourself. I always like to get in there and search different things. I just find it fun. And so this is from James Melville. So this is about digital IDs and what's happening with them. So he said, instead of a digital ID that allows governments to snoop on us, what about having a digital ID that allows us to track government spending? MP's expenses, second jobs. This would be something really good, right? If people have to, everything's out in the open, right? All their transactions, what are they doing? What are all the paperwork? That would be very interesting. Let me just play this.
It's a scandal that's been sort of rumbling on that hasn't really been addressed for 20 years. Whether it's, remember the duck houses debates and the rest of it. Now, the bigger picture here is about trust in our public servants and our MPs. It's at rock bottom at the moment in terms of public perception for MPs, and stories like this do not help. I think it's time to do a root and branch review of MP salaries, of expenses, and basically what is actually good use of taxpayers' money. While we're getting governments who are trying to say that you possibly need more surveillance, more digital ID, there might be an argument that perhaps the table should turn and actually the public should ask for some digital ID and surveillance on our
This is it.
Money.
This is it, isn't it? There have been so many. Look, we can always say we have problems with the police at the moment. Oh, it's a few rotten apples. But it certainly wasn't when it came to the expenses scandal with 2008. And we saw a lot of MPs resign, a lot of deselected, a lot actually.
Anyways, let's keep it going, guys. I'm not going to play the whole video, but I just like to see what conversations are happening in other countries. I don't like this clip either. This is, what's his name, sitting next to Gary Gensler, and this guy just always talks over him, and it's annoying. So this is a clip. This is Brad Garlinghouse. Proof of what John Dean has said from day one. People were buying XRP on the secondary market that had never even heard of Ripple. That's actually pretty true. So check this out.
But the idea that at the end of 2017, especially in December, we saw a frenzy of investment in cryptocurrencies, often from people who didn't necessarily do any real homework on these cryptocurrencies. Often on our live shows, I spend time talking about the different tech behind each coin. And my colleague Miles Edlund, I think very correctly, often says, these people don't care. They don't care about the tech that's behind them. They just want to buy the coins and watch them go up. And especially with XRP, Ripple, as we showed that chart, it just spiked so high. Is it concerning to you, alarming, or unsurprising to know that obviously at the end of the year, so many people were going to websites where they could buy up Ripple? They don't know anything about Ripple.
Buy up XRP. Important distinction that we try to make repeatedly is you can't really, you can buy shares of Ripple, the company, on the secondary market, but what people are buying is XRP. Look,
I don't know. I just like these clips where, these older clips where they are talking about this. Britain's faced 20,000 digital pound cap under Bank of England plan. I'm not going to go. Okay, so here is committee. This is Congress. This is connected of China's CBDC using mBridge to displace the dollar, asking how we can strengthen the SWIFT system. Strengthen the SWIFT system? These guys are so out of date.
And I want to thank the ranking member as well, Mrs. Waters, for members on both sides of the aisle have been keenly interested in the development of a retail central bank digital currency. And China's domestic retail central bank digital currency pilot, known as the ECNY or the digital yuan, has received a lot of focus from Congress recently as a challenge to the primacy of the United States dollar, and also as a full spectrum surveillance tool for the Chinese government. However, usage of the digital yuan has so far remained very low, as consumers seem to be sticking with private payments ecosystems, including Alipay and WeChat Pay. There's been little focus, however, on mBridge, which is the cross-border bank-to-bank wholesale CBDC pilot that's being conducted by 4 countries, including China, which is the lead.
And remember, mBridge is partnered with R3, has something to do with that.
I think it's Hong Kong, Thailand, and
it's painful. Where's my notes?
One of the countries in the Middle East. I'm blanking on it right now. But
Saudi Arabia,
there are 7
probably.
more countries that have received offers to join. And mBridge operates outside of SWIFT and the existing correspondent banking system, and could be a tool for sanctions evasion and other financial crimes. Mr. Harrell, how concerned should we be in Congress about China's central bank digital currency pilot project, and why?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. I agree with you. It's been interesting to see on the domestic uptake in China of the ECNY how little interest there is. Now, Chinese consumers, probably because they don't actually want the Chinese central bank seeing everything they buy, are trying to stay outside of the ECNY. We obviously have a limited ability to affect the domestic deployment of a digital RMB in China. I think you are right to focus on the cross-border payments. I don't think that China and RMB-denominated payment rails displacing the dollar is going to be a challenge of the next 6 to 12 months, but I do think it's a midterm challenge. We've seen Russia with the Mir payment system try to create rails outside of Russia as we've put sanctions on Russia, and China trying to do exactly the same thing with its cross-border payment fee. I think it is essential that we, as the U.S. government and this committee with jurisdiction on this issue, promote a strategy to maintain the preeminence of the U.S. dollar as the primary currency for reserve purposes and for international payments. And I think that's going to require us to both be competitive on our end. What can we do to make the dollar attractive?
I really like this guy, guys. Peter Harrell. He's actually saying, hey guys, if you want to stay relevant, you need to start working on this stuff, right? I really like what this guy's saying.
And it's going to require us to throw some sand in the gears of efforts by the Chinese and other countries like Russia to try to build out these alternative payment rails.
I'm thinking about, I appreciate your response, but when we think of this as a global problem, the idea that we could ally with other countries that have the integrity of the SWIFT system and operate within that system, how could we partner with them?
Who do you think gives money to this guy's pact? I guarantee you it's some of these banks inside of the SWIFT system, right? This guy is, what is it? Robin Williams said something really amazing. I remember the exact quote, but he said, people in Congress should wear jackets with who they got money from, right? So you can see who owns them, right? And this guy is owned by SWIFT and the central banks, or the regular banks.
What could we do here to strengthen the SWIFT system? If not, I don't know if we could get buy-in from many of our allies to increase the strength of the U.S. dollar, but I do think we could get buy-in to increase the integrity and the affinity for operating within the SWIFT system, which would...
See, guys, I have a tweet and some information at the end of this chat that talks about the Bank of England is going to stop, like, very little use SWIFT and use these new rails, right? These banks want to use these new rails, and people like this in government don't understand what's happening right now. I wish I could go to Congress and talk with these people and explain what is happening to the financial system, because they're the ones who make the laws. And if they don't understand what they're making laws about, that is when you get dumb laws, and that is what I think that's where we're heading.
Which would push back on this attempt by the Chinese the Russians to adopt a different set of rails. What could we do to encourage or strengthen the SWIFT system?
So I'd make two comments, one in the SWIFT system, one outside, or sort of parallel to the SWIFT system. First, the Federal Reserve has an active program underway to try to speed up U.S. dollar payments that are currently going through the existing Federal Reserve organized payment rails. And I think that's really important because...
So he's talking about FedNow, guys. He's talking about the FedNow payment system is going live in March. That's what he's talking about, okay?
Payments internationally can be slow, and we need to make sure that they are working faster so that people want to continue to use the existing system. And so I think what the Fed is doing is important, and then also putting friendly pressure on SWIFT and on the banks and their correspondent sort of relationships to make sure payments are sped up there too is another important area of work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
All right, it's a good back and forth. You just gotta understand who is in charge, and these guys, they really don't understand what's happening, and it just, yeah. Anyways, nope, not gonna read that. Too much. Sorry. I will link that. Digital pound, a new form of money for households and businesses. Right? They're really pushing this narrative. Oh, I like this one. Fam, the BIS Shin was asked of a cross-border multi-CBDC platform. There's a DLT that proves the token you're transferring is genuine. You actually have the funds by zero knowledge. Proof. I don't know why the W's there. With this system, you can convert deposits into tokens, say in London. Let's just play this.
Yeah, fantastic. So my question
I'm not gonna play the whole
on
thing.
Cross-border payments, and you talked about the inefficiency of banks maintaining deposits with correspondent banks around the world and how inefficient this is. But how
He's talking about Nostro Vostro accounts there, how inefficient that system is, okay?
easy would it be to set up some kind of a platform for exchange of CBDs, different CBDCs? Is that something that you've looked at in this report? How easy would that be? And my second question is, do you imagine, just in terms of the differentiation between wholesale CBDCs and retail CBDCs, do you think that wholesale CBDCs will launch first,
yes,
and then retail ones will come later because they're perhaps more difficult, complicated? Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. The answer to your first question. So your first question was on multi-CBDC platforms. Does the chapter examine the operation of these multi-CBDC platforms? The answer is yes. And in fact, we actually draw on a number of trials, actually, that's going on in the BIS Innovation Hub in partnership with our member central banks. So just to mention two, there's one that is run out of the Hong Kong Center of the Innovation Hub that's called Project M-Bridge, being the multi-CBDC platform, and bridge in the sense of bridging. Then there's another experiment run out of a Singapore center that's called Project Dunbar. And each one of them has the BIS together with 4 other central banks that are forming these common platforms. And the way that these work is to use distributed ledger technology, but using real names. So what we do is, clearly, if you don't have, as in crypto, this device of hiding behind the private key, you have to use real names. And if you use real names, you cannot simply post all the transactions for everyone to see, because that would violate privacy. So the way that these DLT platforms work is that there is a distributed ledger technology where you can prove that the token you're transferring is genuine, that you actually have the funds. And you can do it by proving the provenance, if you like, the origin of your token, by using cryptographic techniques like zero-knowledge proofs to show that it actually derives from a valid history of past transactions without revealing what exactly the transactions are. It's a very constructive use of cryptography. And using that, what you can do is you can form smart contracts, you can transfer, you can bundle them so that you have atomic settlement.
So atomic settlement, right? So he's talking about smart contracts, right? So that's R3, that's XDC or Algorand, right? And then payments, that's your XLM and that's your XRP. All right, we got to understand that. Atomic settlement, instant settlement.
Transferred if and only if the money is transferred. So you don't need an escrow account and so on. So what this type of system enables you to do is to avoid the current practice, which is to say, if I want to make a payment on behalf of my client to a supplier on another continent, What you need to do is to hold a deposit in a bank in that jurisdiction, ideally, and then just call up the bank and say, look, debit my account and credit the account of the supplier. And if you don't have an account, you have to use a correspondent bank. And if you don't even have a correspondent bank with a deposit in that jurisdiction, you need to string along a whole host of different correspondent banks. Now,
so that is the current SWIFT system, guys. Understand that. What he just explained right there, if you're trying to send a payment one way and you don't have an account there, you have to send it through a multiple banks to get to its final location. And that takes a lot of time, guys. That can take days or weeks to get through, all while your goods or your supplies that you need for your business sit in a cargo container on the dock, okay?
For that system to work, you need to hold balances at all of these different parts of the chain. And in a way, it's going back to the origins of supply chain financing, where the credit function and the payment function all are bundled together. And so it's incredibly intensive in terms of liquidity, and there are the operational challenges all along the chain. What this kind of platform can do is to just short circuit all of that. And of course, what you would need to do is, of course, convert some of your deposits into tokens. Yeah, so you cannot avoid tying up some of your deposits somewhere, but you can just do it once. And let's say just hold it in London. And then the tokens can circulate everywhere without having to lock up liquidity at different points around the world, together with all the other problems that go along with that. Now, how far are we from seeing these things in action? We've done experiments and they work. What we need to do is to make sure that we can actually build this to scale and build it so that they have the resilience that will really stand the test of real world use. But the technology is pretty clear. And this is not experimental technology. Public key cryptography is when you go onto your web browser, you can see when you're paying with your credit card that you have a secure connection. That's exactly the same type of public key cryptography that we're using with these payments. On your second question, wholesale and retail, which will come first? I think what we're seeing is that they are moving together. There are some jurisdictions like China, which have already...
Guys, that was such a good clip. He explained to you what I kind of explained to you, how the banking system kind of works and how it's just such an inefficient system, and it's changing rapidly. EU payments regulatory timeline, right? We're looking at EU payments. This is a good little graph here. This is talking about ECB, real-time gross settlement system, RTGS, 2023. We all know everything's going live, right? It's good stuff. Good stuff. HSBC, Bank of China, Hong Kong pushes digital payment services as border reopening promises e-commerce boost, right? More digital payments. Everyone's talking about digital payments now. Should be, so ISO 20022 should be maintained in a DLT environment. Ooh, sexy. API, let's read this at the top. API and API integrations would help granting regulators access to the DLT, right? We already know that the SCC runs a validator node on the XRP ledger. All right. That's pretty strange, isn't it? The use of free and open messaging and standards simplifies implementation, reduces costs and risk, and lowers barriers of entry for new businesses. ISO and FIX protocol should be maintained in the DLT environment. Interoperability between different DLT platforms can be achieved through smart contracts for the on-chain transfer of financial data and automated workflows via application programming interfaces. Everything's about APIs and interacting with those. According to respondents in the traditional reporting system and format in compliance with ISO 20022 methodology can be used for reporting DLT transactions. A significant number of respondents also welcome exploring alternative approaches to the traditional reporting adapted to DLT on-chain trading. This is from ESMA, and then we'll read this last part here, guys. Most respondents confirm that it's possible to use the ISO 20022 methodology to store any type of information that should be reported and sent to RTS on DLT, and that this will not have negative impact on scalability of the system. Some respondents also indicated that they use ISO standards might be a factor in enabling interoperability between DLTs and MIS and traditional infrastructures, right? So everything needs to work together, guys, which it does, right? We know that all these things can work together. 96 to 97 of intermediaries will be ready to rely on ISO 20022. It says, did I do this? No. And the other is we have this ongoing campaign with key intermediaries to ensure that they have the necessary plans and readiness to be able to rely on rich ISO messages should they receive them. And actually, the vast majority of them will be ready on day one. We are talking about key intermediaries because it's very a concentrated market, and we believe that almost 96 and 97% of them will be ready and able to rely on rich ISO if they receive it, right? Banks are getting ready. Digital gold traded for digital rupees by Russia's Rosbank, right? So digital gold, guys, right? We've been talking about this for months, that they're going to digitize gold and use that to trade in between those two countries, right? So nothing new there, my friends. Oh, that was something new. That said 74% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck right now. This says the 6-month Treasury yield is currently at 4.9%. This is a more attractive risk-free security on the market, right? If you don't know about Treasury bonds, guys, you can actually put your sum of money. Usually, I think it's like $10,000 or more. I don't buy them, but I've read some stuff on it. I might be totally wrong, so don't kill me. Don't shoot the messenger. They might have some cheaper ones, but I think it's at 10,000. You can now, what does it say? United States 6-month government bonds. You can lock up your money for 6 months and get 5% back, guaranteed from the government. This is not a working system, right? Let's keep it going. Here's why Cardano's new stablecoin could be a game changer. Let's take a look at this, guys. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. What is it? It's Borvagari. The fintech managing director of EMU Imurgo, the commercial arm of the funding entity of Cardano, has stated that the upcoming USDA stablecoin will enhance the DeFi sector of the blockchain platform. In recent discussion, Borvagari delved into the advantages of stablecoins and the regulation of central exchanges. He also touched upon the current state of the future direction of the industry. Furthermore, the Borvagari provided several simple steps for exchange uses to safeguard their funds. USDA, Cardano's first backed stablecoin, is scheduled to launch early 2023. Per a blog post, it is expected to bring value to Cardano's Web3 ecosystem and decentralized applications, and it will be the first EMURGO and Zen's suite of fintech products, right? Love to see it. Cardano's definitely growing. Why do I keep having this on here? There was some weird stuff happening with WTK, but it was pumping. I don't understand this. It looks like BitTrue transferred a lot of stuff off of the exchange into different wallets. I don't know what's going on with WTK, guys. Once I find out, I will let you know. Ripple powering the next evolution of central bank digital currencies. Nice mention. JSpendBits is the Federum research with Spend the Bits winning the interoperability category in the Ripple CBDC Innovation Hackathon. This is just talking about, you know, Ripple wins a lot of places, guys, where they do. I'm not going to get into that. So this is actually interesting. If you want to get on this is coinmeal.com/SDF. This is actually where you can look up the special drawing, and Ripple Converter is up to date with exchange rates from February 7th. It's interesting that this is here, right? This is talking about special drawing right extra. I don't know, but there's like Tezos, there's VeChain, there's all kinds of other things on this as well. So I don't quite know. I think this is just if you're trying to convert money into something else and you don't have the calculations in your head, you can use this to do that. Oh, I love this, guys. Check this out. So this is the final countdown XRP. Check this out. This is fun. This is fun. Look on the back of his jacket. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. I just love that. Sorry. All right, let's keep it going. This is from Eleanor Tourette. She says, Scoop, Gary Gensler is embarking on a midnight massacre in an attempt to bring all of crypto under his control. In the coming weeks, the Securities Exchange Commission and NYDFS and the USOC will be bringing a myriad of enforcement actions against exchanges and banks and entities that mint tokens in an attempt to label them, the majority of them, as securities. I'm told that Gensler's strategy is to bring as many enforcement actions as possible while the 118th Congress is still getting its bearings. Fuck, man. It's crazy. And this is SCC Commissioner Pierce publicly rebukes her agency on crypto regulation, right? So she doesn't like what the SEC is doing, but she can't do anything about it. Asia's interest in wholesale central bank digital currency is growing, definitely growing. I'm going to keep moving on. Digital euro will never be programmable, the ECB's Panetta says. So there's a lot of people worried about programmable money, and we'll see what happens, right? You can't really trust what they say in articles. We really have to find out what they're doing with the technology and if it's in fact tracking. The XCC network is an enterprise-ready open source blockchain protocol. Guys, if you're brand new to the community and you really want to start learning about XCC, that is a fire little thread for you to go into. All right, and this is the special drawing rights. This is how regulations work and where they come from. Crypto assets are writing within policy framework in terms of adhering to what the BIS has laid out for regulations to exist. Follow my channel and listen to the video.
Compared to group.
So check this out. So I always thought that certain cryptocurrencies will be put into different groups. A B, C, whatever the tier is or however they want to call it. But your A tier is going to be like your Ethereum, your XRPs, your XLMs, those type of projects. Your second layer might be like Oasis Protocol and maybe Morpheus Network. Some of these may be middle end cryptocurrencies, and then you'll have the group that doesn't make it. You have the A class, you have the B class, and then you have nothing. Okay? I don't know why this dude is in a Spider-Man costume, but hey, brother, work it. All right?
And consequently, are subject to a new prescribed conservative capital treatment. In addition to any tokenized traditional assets, stable coins that fail the classification condition. So that's what a stable coin is. Some stable coins might not meet the classification. There could be algorithmic stable coins, right? That doesn't meet the group 1 classification. Group 2 includes all unbacked crypto. Bitcoin is unbacked. I don't care what argument you bring to me. Bitcoin is unbacked. I don't care what freedom you think you're going to come off of with your hurrah, la-di-da, whatever. This isn't a fight for freedom. This is an investment, and you need to make sound decisions. To make sound decisions, you must learn, all right? So sit down, gather around, let's teach. A set of hedging recognition criteria is used to identify those group 2 crypto assets where a limited degree of hedging is permitted to be recognized. Group 1A, and those where hedging is not recognized, Group 2B. Additional key elements of the standard include infrastructure risk on, an add-on to the risk-weighted, whoops, let me just change that.
This dude is wearing a Spider-Man mask. I don't even know how he's able to read what is on the screen.
An add-on to the risk-rated, okay, it's touchscreen, that's why it's doing that. To cover infrastructure risk for all Group 1 assets that authorities can activate based on any observance weaknesses in the infrastructure on which crypto assets are based. So this is the framework now to which regulations can exist. You need, in terms of a home, you need the foundation. This is the foundation. And within this foundational document, there's going to be the structure now. You're going to have that framework. You're going to have all the 2x4s and 4x4s and anything you need that counts as infrastructure, that counts as the base layer. Before you get the electrical, before you get the drywall.
All right. Interesting fellow. He does post a lot of good content. That's how I think it's going to go. Check this out, guys. So this says, Dear XRP community, as per Bank of England, they will not rely on SWIFT as much beyond 2024. So this says, reduce reliance on third-party SWIFT for settlement. They're telling you they're not going to be using SWIFT. What are they going to use? You know exactly what they're going to use, okay? India's central bank digital currency CBDC is set to go live before the end of March this year. The digital rupee will run on the blockchain with the aim of making currency management cheaper and more efficient. We got to understand that. And then this is the transaction cost per thing. Ethereum is $5 per transaction, yeah, give or take. BTC is $1.27, give or take. ADA is at 12 cents. XRP is at 0.00028. Solana is at 0.00025, and HBAR is at 0.0010. HBAR wins at the end, okay? Also, there's some more stuff. Don't leave just yet, guys. I got another, a couple articles I want to go over with you really quickly before we end today. It says, could digital currencies pave the way can digital currencies pave the way to a more instant, transparent, and efficient payment system? Commentary on CBDCs and other digital currencies continues in the great virtual fireside and panel discussion I tuned in today, hosted by the Payments Association with fantastic insights and representatives. Barclays, MasterCard, Digital Pound Foundation, Checkout.com, and Ripple. Right, guys? Look at that. How much... You got Visa, MasterCard, central banks, all the money, right? Sounds like all the money to me. Anyways, I'll post this in all my notes for the chat. Yeah, I think that's it for these clips. This is more about, what's it called? Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. All right. It says we put 7 burning questions to the top economist, David Rosenberg. Here's what he said about U.S. stocks, crypto, house prices, and there's threat of a recession. And let's just take a look at this. David Rosenberg answered 7 burning questions about the markets, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what question 1 is. Why did inflation spike, and should we still be worried about it? Inflation surged to a 40-year high of 9.1 last June and was still over 6% in December, above the Fed's 2% target. Rosenberg blames surprising prices on excessive fiscal and monetary stimulus that took hold against a recurring set of global supply shocks. In other words, the Fed's near-zero interest rates and epic bond buying spree during the COVID-19 epidemic, combined with the U.S. Treasury dispatching stimulus checks banks and bailing out companies stroked historic demand. Meanwhile, the virus disruption of international supply chains coupled with Russia's invasion of Ukraine roiling food and fuel production choked supply. However, Rosenberg argued that upward pressure on prices has not faded. Many governments' aid programs have ended, while the Fed has hiked rates from virtually 0 to nearly 5% over the past year and has started to shrink in balance sheets. And this is another one that says, is a recession coming? He says, let's face the facts. The economy is flat on its back. Rosenberg says, arguing official GDP readings are flattening and don't reflect the underlying health of the country. The veteran economist noted the changes of Monetary Policy Act with a lag of 6 to 18 months, guys. So all of the stuff, the changes that they're making right now, they won't affect us for months, maybe even a year down the line, right? So I don't personally think that we felt how bad it actually is. I think that's what's coming. And once that we get through that, get into 24, I do think you're going to see a bull run unlike anything you have before. But there are going to be tokens that surge during this market. But just understand, guys, it's always a good idea to take profits. I'm not a financial advisor, but I take profits. When something's up 100%, that's a good day. Okay, I used to not. I used to leave it in and be like, yeah, man, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. I learned the lesson the hard way. So I'm trying to let you know, and hopefully you can make better decisions. It says, why did stocks surge during the pandemic? All right, we already know that. All the stimulus, blah, blah, blah. When the Fed stopped raising rates, start lowering them. Okay, understand this, guys. As soon as the Fed stops raising rates, if you go back 60, 70, 80 years, every time the Fed stops raising rates, everything crashes. All right, stock market usually crashes. So I'm waiting for that to happen. The stock market isn't doing too good. So understand that still needs to happen. Prices on homes right now everything's falling. And I'll post this in my notes. If you want to go through all of it, you can. But let me just try to get through the rest of this. I'm dying over here on this chair. SCC Chief Gensler warns crypto firms to comply with rules after Kraken shutters staking programs. They don't even give you the freaking rules to comply to. That's the frustrating part, man. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler is warning other platforms to take note of crypto exchange Kraken's move to halt its staking service in the country, right? Base was right about to launch their Earn program, right? And they have to stop it now because of this. Companies like Kraken can offer investment contracts and investment schemes, but they have to have full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And this puts the investors who watch your program in a better position. That's our basic bargain. They were not complying with basic law, Gensler said on Friday during his appearance on Squawk Box, okay? And I played that clip for you, right? Coinbase drops most since their stock drops most since July. The SCC cracks down on crypto staking, right? So this is what happened. They made the announcement. That's what happened. That's what happened to Coinbase stock. Okay, error. That's fine. Let's keep it going. This says Russia's massive new crypto mining facility will open by the summer, but legal regime remains in limbo. Right. So Russia wants to mine crypto. They need to figure out how to make more money, and they are going to do it through this. Interesting. We already answered that. Oil prices, guys. I want to talk to you about this because this is going to affect you. Oil prices post gains after Russia says it will cut output by 500,000 barrels per day. This is a 5% drop in they usually do about 9 to 10 million barrels a day. Now they're cutting it 500,000 barrels. The price of oil, the barrel of oil went up like $12 to $14 just by this news. Okay, so be prepared that you might see higher gas prices. If Russia's doing this, others might. We'll have to see how this shakes out. This is actually a great article. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because we need to read through this. The advantages and disadvantages of central bank digital currencies. Check this out. Central bank digital currencies are digital versions of fiat money issued and backed by central banks. CBDCs have gained attention in recent years as potential solutions and to challenges posed by the increasing use of digital payments and the rise of private digital currencies such as Bitcoin. While this is still a new idea, it will have profound change on the financial system. One of the main advantages of CBDCs is that they can provide a secure and reliable means of digital payments and remittance. CBDCs can be used for online and offline transactions and can be integrated into existing payment systems, which we're seeing right now. They can also be used to facilitate cross-border payments, which can be a major challenge for the traditional fiat money. In fact, most central banks around the world have already started experimenting with CBDCs and their economic potential. Other advantage of CBDCs is that they can provide financial inclusion for those who are currently unbanked or unbanked. There's millions of people in America that are either unbanked or they don't have a bank account. True story. Underbanked means like you have a bank account, but you can't get loans. You can't get a loan to do a business. You can't get a home loan. You can't get a personal loan, right? Just not able to take advantage of services. And that is what this is trying to attack, right? Unbanked are people that don't have a bank account, if that wasn't clear already. By providing a digital alternative to cash, CBDCs can make it easier for people to access financial services and participate in the digital economy. This can be particularly beneficial for people in developing nations where access to traditional banking services are limited, Africa, Asia, some places like that. However, I have outlined in my book, The Future Economy, that there are also potential drawbacks to CBDCs. One concern is that they could lead to increased surveillance of financial transactions, true story, which could raise privacy and security concerns. Additionally, the implementations of CBDCs could be costly and complex, and there may be risks associated with the integration of CBDCs into existing payment systems. Another potential drawback for CBDCs could have a negative impact on the banking sector. That is why they want to stop this at all costs, guys. Banks may face increased competition from CBDCs, which could lead to a decline in their profits and reduction in the availability of credit, right? The banks already don't have enough money, right? You're seeing people not being able to pay their car payments, not being able to pay their mortgage, right? What happens to all of those assets? Those assets go back to the bank. And if the assets are currently losing value, the bank is underwater on those assets. Usually they have to get rid of them in auctions and things like that, right? Used cars and stuff. It's not a good situation, right now. CBDCs are being designed with an intention to benefit society as a whole, including empowered digital payments, financial inclusion, and financial stability. However, there are too many concerns for comfort that include privacy and security, implementation costs, capital controls, and potential negative impacts on the banking sector and monetary policy. Therefore, it is important that the potential benefits and drawbacks of CBDCs can be carefully considered. I just thought that was a great article, guys. Definitely thought it was a great article. Fed official warns U.S. debt default could be catastrophic. So, guys, we need it. I talked about this last week. I'll just talk about it really briefly. The debt ceiling in the U.S. has been raised 78 times, 39 by Republican presidents, 29 by Democratic presidents. Okay, this is standard operating procedure because we're not collecting enough tax money basically to pay for all the stuff that we want to do. Okay. So they go and they print money. The Republican Party in the country right now is saying that they want to have a voice in this, what's happening with the economy and this and that. I don't know if this is going to happen, guys, but if this does happen and we do default, this will be catastrophic, not only for the stock market, but for the crypto market. Understand that, guys. Be prepared for this because this is a huge black swan event if this should happen. The stock market would crash worse than you probably have ever seen if we default on our debt. Okay, it would be a world problem at that point. Okay, this is from El Ali. I fucked that up. Excuse me. There's a bunch of links in this. I'll link it down, but it says Crypto Market Outlook by Coinbase, Digital Asset Outlook Report, The Block, Crypto Thesis by New Order, 2023 blockchain themes and bull predictions, crypto wallets. There's just a lot of really good information in this tweet, in this thing. I'm going to link it down for you in the bottom, and I'll get to the comments here in a second, guys. Sorry. Ether loses build as crypto investors weigh the future of staking after the Kraken Exchange's SEC settlement. The price of Ether fell on Friday, extending losses from previous session as fears about U.S. regulatory crackdown on crypto staking weighed investors. Ether-led cryptocurrency declines, with the price falling more than 3% Friday, according to Coinmetrics, right? So it's all happening like that. SushiSwap acquires Cosmos-based trading platform Vortex. I don't know, I didn't see this. SushiSwap is making good on its January promises to launch a derivatives trading platform, but instead of building it from scratch, it's gone out and bought one. Gotta love that. The popular Ethereum-based decentralized exchange DEX announced that the acquisition of Vortex protocol for an undisclosed amount. Built on top of C Network, a blockchain using Cosmos tooling and on-chain trading platform will come under SushiSwap umbrella as another product that will make a new name. Love to see that happening. Coinbase's CEO cites rumors that the SCC might ban crypto staking, right? So this is what's happening in the market right now. This is what you're seeing. You're seeing fear, a lot of fear, and a lot of people taking profits, which I think is smart. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong said he's heard rumors that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission would like to ban retail investors from engaging cryptocurrency staking, right? So guys, this is a direct attack on me and you. Okay, we are not elites. We are not billionaires. We're not 100 millionaires. We're trying to grow as a middle class. And somebody who's trying to protect us, who's supposed to be there to protect us, is harming us in more ways than you can imagine. I need everybody to understand that this isn't going to affect you. It's going to affect everybody around you. So you have a voice. Speak up. I tweet out at French Hill and all these different politicians. I don't think they're ever going to read my tweets, but I'm trying to do something. Okay, this is really bad. This is really bad. Okay, we're going to see how it all turns out, but bad, guys. Like this is one of the really worst things that I've seen in crypto. Like FTX was nothing. This is something very serious. Okay. UK pushes ahead with plans to bring crypto under mainstream regulation, right? This is what you need. You need to just follow the UK plan because they understand how important it is and they want it. The UK government is pressing ahead. This is the last thing, guys. The UK government is pressing ahead with its plan to bring cryptocurrency industry under an umbrella of mainstream financial services regulation, even after last year's collapse of several high-profile digital asset companies, strong retail investors. Right, we didn't get protected from any of this, right? But taking staking away from us, that's protecting us. Yeah, if I saw Gary Gensler on the street, I really go up to him and say, I really dislike you. Like, I really dislike your policy and the way that you do things. I 100%, I would love that. I would love to be able to do that. The Treasury said late on Tuesday, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. The Treasury said late on Tuesday that it would unveil a series of proposals to regulate a broad suite of crypto asset activities consistent with its approach to traditional finance. And this is where I think this is going, right? They're going to require centralized exchanges to have banking license. And if you're a crypto project, you might have to register, you might have to have a business license, you might have to do several other things that they're going to come from this, right? It says the move follows a year of acute turbulence in the digital asset industry, which included the collapse of FTX, which we don't care, cryptocurrency empire, and the lender Celsius. Damn, this guy on Celsius, guys, he's screwed. They found that he used customer funds to basically spend money on whatever he wanted, just like Sam Bankman, right? These guys need to go to prison for a while, and hopefully people learn their lesson. They probably won't because people are greedy and people take advantage of situations. That's who people are. Which left individuals globally with billions of dollars in frozen funds. The value of 500 big crypto tokens also tumbled 1.7 trillion last year. Treasury insiders say the aim of the reforms is to move Britain's crypto regulatory regime to a more neutral position, following suggestions that its rules were previously too lax. We don't want to become a global crypto hub, said one, but we are adjusting. See, you have one people saying we want it and then one people saying you don't. But we are adjusting the dial to reflect recent market events. Nobody is getting a free ride to cause consumer deterrent. After recent scandals of the crypto sector, the Treasury has downplayed its significant and Britain's efforts to find growth. It's relatively small, said one Treasury official. Tulip Sadiq, Labour's shadow city minister, said that UK's main opposition party has been calling for a crackdown on crypto Wild West for months. She added that all conservatives are promoting its further I can't read it now, guys. I'm so tired. All the conservatives are promising is that right? Does that read right? All the conservatives are promising is further consultations. We need action now. Oh, guys, man, sorry. I'll post this article. I'm exhausted. I don't have any energy left. I moved my whole house today, so I'm done. Sorry. Any questions on the chat? Any comments? I just need to go lay down, guys. I'm exhausted. Twilly, good to see you, man. V203, welcome. Sound Searcher, how's it going? LAX, Sleep in the house. Serenity King, what's up, man? I always get this name wrong. J Rock Cryptos, what's up, player? D-Morg, Ariana, it's always a pleasure. Meet Popsicle. How's everybody doing, guys? Oh, man, I walked up and down my stairs like 40 times, and it's 3 stories. I'm exhausted. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go lay down. Appreciate all of you spending this time with me. Sorry that I was... Wait, did someone just click a thumbs up? How did you do that? Can you do that? Wait. Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Whoever did that, I love you. Happy Friday. Yeah, Sleep. Yeah. That's where I'm heading right now. Yeah. I need a little THC. I got the rub on. Thanks, D. A lot of stuff's going on right now. Some of it's bad, guys. Some of it's good. Everybody has different opinions, right? You have an opinion, and there's 8 billion other people that have different opinions, right? And so we need to find a way to come together on regulation, and the G20 is working on it. I do think they might do something sooner than our own government, which is pretty sad, but the US is a big player. A lot of companies want to stay in the US. They don't want to move their family overseas. I know Ripple doesn't want to move their family overseas, but they will if the SCC wins. But realistically, the SCC can't really make or change a law, right? They can bring litigation, makes people pay a fine, but at the end of the day, they can't come out and say XRP is a security. They don't have the authority to do that. Okay, understand that, right? It's one agency. It's basically one guy at the top who is pushing this agenda for Goldman Sachs, for JP Morgan, right? The connections are there if you look for them. Gary Gensler is highly connected to JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop crypto, right? Because banks want to keep making billions of dollars off of our transfers. And this technology makes them obsolete. Let's be real. It makes them obsolete. So some of the banks are going to adopt the technology instantly. I think a lot of the major banks are going to have to. I think they're going to want to, right? You save 60 to 70% on everything, right? If you bring in $1 billion and 60 to 70% has to go out in fees, you lose hundreds of millions, right? Playing, what does he say? Thanks again and get some rest. I will. Playing a chess match tomorrow, so I need some sleep. LAX, go get some sleep, man. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you, man. You stay up so late all the time for my chats. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the people that watch this on replay. It means a lot, and I'll keep bringing you the information, and we'll keep growing. Crypto's not going anywhere, guys. We are going to face speed bumps. I don't know what else to call them. Speed bumps, right? You ever been driving on in a parking lot and you didn't see a speed bump and all of a sudden it came out of nowhere and you're like, oh shit, in your car, like that's what we're dealing with right now. And everyone needs to remain calm and collective and know that hopefully it'll work out in the end. Crypto is a global asset, not a United States asset, not a Canada asset, not a China asset. It's a global asset. And people like me and you are not going to give up our crypto for anything. Unless the Fed wants to buy our crypto back for 35 grand a token, maybe I'll sell half of my tokens to the Fed and hide the other half. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Sometimes you're just going to sit here and talk into the camera, get all that shit out. But I think we're still in a good place globally. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. And I'm gonna stop